This thing that I have found is what I would call my gracious space. Hi folks, Jack Carlisle here with Gracious Spaces, and oh my gosh, Leo, what are we in? We're in like our 30, this will be 33 episodes. Wow. And I just want to start out by saying I'm so grateful for those who've jumped on board with this process and have gone through the journey with me. It's much appreciated, and I really, really thank you and very thankful for that. And it allows me to have guests like I do today, Crystal Lewis, the amazing Crystal Lewis. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. So happy to be here.
Well, you know, I just don't know where to start because I want to know everything. I do. I know, right?
Okay, then let me start because I want to say.
I love that. Take the lead, girl.
Okay, so when I grew up in Anaheim. So I'm an Orange County, brat. I went to high school here. I grew up here. And I became single after having been married for 28 years in my 40s, late 40s. And when I first moved back to Orange as a single person, walking just became my meditative practice. And I walked often and all around.
You can get a lot done when you walk, right? In your head.
The songs I have written
while you're walking.
On walks, let me tell you. But I would always walk to your old location. And that felt like as much of a sweet kind of salve sort of a space as the campus. Like Chapman campus, I feel all the art outside and the flowers and, it's so well maintained and it just
well maintained.
Felt sweet. But I used to go into the potting shed and I just thought, I want to live here. This space. It's so great. And I saw you a few times and I bought a few things there. And so I'm sure we had
remember
minimal interactions, but actually a bunch of plants. When I first bought my place a couple years later. But I always thought, we're going to be friends. I don't know how. I'm not the person that walks up to people and is.
I feel you on that one.
But.
I remember conversations with you, and I always in my head was like, God, there's something to this lady.
That's so funny.
Somebody. I know she is, and not just like the celebrity you are, but the more of a soul, a person. You've got depth and feeling. So I remember that, but I could always also think I was a little trepidatious. Is that a word? Yeah.
That sounds like a great word.
in making that bloom, right? And I was nowhere mentally where I am today, where I'm sitting in a chair with you, interviewing you. That was not even a thought in my mind when I opened that shop. So it was hard to get out of my shell and be comfortable and all that. But I feel you, because I knew at some point too, there's something to this lady. I
love that. We were kindred from the start. Just took us a minute.
So then we're going to back up a little further than that then. And you come from a family of, your dad was a minister.
Correct.
And I would assume you sang in his church.
Exactly.
And that was the ripe old age of what?
Well, the story goes, and I don't know if this is an actual memory, or if I just have heard the story so many times it's become like a memory, but when I was 4 or 5, I was supposed to sing something like, Away in the Manger or Jesus Loves Me or something like that. And my mother, who was a brilliant musician, and I do not use that term lightly. I'm not biased like, oh, but she's my mom. No, I'm super judgy and critical when it comes to music. My mom was levels above.
Wow.
And she made me sing. And so the story is that I was being defiant and belligerent. Said, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And she made me, and it was probably the only thing she ever made me do in her life because she was very passive and I was very assertive. And everyone says, and then once we got you up there, it was like, oh my gosh, we can't get her off the stage now. So it's their fault. But yeah, I grew up in a very musical home because my mom was this wonderful musician. But also I had this built-in platform, this stage.
Yeah.
So it was sort of handed to me on a silver platter in some ways.
Well, you and your mom saw something in you. She knew, right?
I think so.
She in making you, she knew in her heart, I've got to do this and try it.
She'll thank me later, right?
And you're very close to your mom.
I was. She passed in 2022. She had Alzheimer's for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
And we did not have. My parents moved away to Detroit when I was 19 years old, and I got married at 19.
Wow.
So I stayed here, and they moved away, and so
a lot of changes for a 19-year-old.
a lot. It was really scary, and I'd already begun my career, so there was that. But as far as developing a true friendship with my mom, we were always mother-daughter.
Yeah.
Very different from my relationship with my daughter now.
Yeah.
It has we butted heads a lot musically.
Musically?
Yes.
Like competition-wise or no?
No, more just like she really thought there was a way to do things, and I wasn't doing it the way that she thought it should be done.
Yeah.
And I've always been a bit of a envelope pusher and outside the box thinker and doer. So it just
clearly worked out for you.
Yes, honestly.
I mean, 3 Grammy nominations, among other awards you've won, and book author, singer, songwriter, musician, all of that. What an accomplishment all that is to say you've done. So that road, hard, easy, little blend of uphill.
Mostly uphill.
Yeah.
There's actually a line in the kids' book that I'm sure we'll talk about. It says something about the road being uphill, but that climb will make you stronger. Trust me, it will.
It will, huh?
So, it has served a wonderful purpose in my life, and I have very few regrets.
Yeah. Well, I think it's being able to recognize that journey and accepting those things you cannot change, the old cliche. And changing those that you can. So not everyone is that lucky to be able to identify those and make those shifts and changes.
Yeah, it takes some serious, honest work.
Yeah. And so was there a major point where all of a sudden that came to you, that shift, and it needed a change, where you wanted to push yourself forward and be Crystal Lewis as you are today?
I think that's happened a number of times. I kind of feel like in the early days as a young teenager, because I think I recorded my first professional paid recording that wasn't my own record, but it was, other work, when I was 15. And then I was in a rockabilly band after that, and then I was signed to a label after that. So it started, the ball got rolling, professionally speaking, pretty early on.
Sorry for the Crystal, did you find that the industry wanted to put you into a certain
definitely
hole and say, that wasn't easy for you, I bet.
No, I got in lots of big fights with label people. I was signed to a label early on, and then my ex-husband and I started our own label in the early 90s. And I fought with him over, because we were both thinking, we want to do it our way, and we did.
Yeah.
But then I kind of felt like he fell into some of that corporate side where it was like, oh, now I see what the label was talking about. This would be beneficial. It's in your best interest, but it's also in the best interest of, the label. And as an artist, and as a firstborn of 3 girls, I'm not, it's real hard for me to take, it's not that it's hard for me to take criticism. I can take constructive criticism. It's when someone questions my artistic motives and says, no, you should be this. You should do this. It's like,
well, how do you know?
Yeah. I trust my own intuition. And I didn't for many, many years. I 100%, and this may come across as contradicting what I just said, but the reality is that being pushed to be something you're not it's really hard to push against that. And so more often than not, even though I would maybe express discomfort or frustration or disagreement, I would often, probably more often than not, fall in line and do the songs. There's so many recordings of songs over the years that I will not listen to because they conjure up so many frustrating memories, you know?
Oh, I hope I don't say some of my favorites are those songs.
If it's anything new, then no, because everything I've done since 2019, or actually more like 2017, I am madly in love with. And I can't say that about all of my old work. So there was some switch becoming single and all of that, that really did feel like an elevation in a lot of ways for me. And
like you were the one guiding the ship, so to speak. Finally, huh?
Yes, and learning along the way, that it was a good idea. They said that wasn't a good idea, but actually it was a good idea. And I did it.
So along those same lines then, because you've had so many differences in your genres and whatnot, fans are different too. Do you feel like you've had some that jumped ship, very vocal about that, some that stayed on board?
And lots of new ones.
Lots of new ones, of course.
Which has been my favorite thing. I shouldn't say my favorite thing because I'm so grateful for people who have stuck around. But yes, of course, there's definitely been people who...
But I see the difference, though. Those new ones, let's see how to explain this. Those new ones are more of you and your fam, like what you enjoy doing more than prior. I mean, you've always been appreciative of those fans, but these are like your babies now, your fans does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think equally as valuable and special to me are the fans who we've had some parallel life shifts. That's so funny. Well, we could talk about shift later because I have a story about that.
Word of the day.
Yes. But, there's some that have we've walked these parallel lines where maybe we are not where we were in all kinds of different ways in life. And we see each other and it creates a deeper bond, I think.
Yeah. Well, you have growth along the way, different relationships that guide you along. Some maybe not the best for you, but some the best for you as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had a comment on social media this last week, where someone said something about, well, if you did this, and this, then maybe people would like it better or something. And it was like, I just didn't even I wrote a response in my journal.
Oh, to that. I was going to say, engaging is not good always.
Yeah, I thought, I'm going to get myself into trouble if I start pushing back. But it's like, I can't control what people think and say. I have to do it for it being the work, the art, whatever it is I feel I'm called to do. It has to be for my own heart or come out of my own heart first.
And to the best of your ability. You're going to give it 1,000%.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people just don't know the backstory. So to comment on things like that, it's like, come on, you don't know this. And this comes into play. And gosh, well, yeah. One out of every, positive one is the key, though.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take the wins.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned social media. Because you were a part of the non-social media.
Right. Yes.
Growing up and career-wise. Benefits to social media. There's some drawbacks. What's your thoughts on?
Yeah. Especially as an independent artist, I find social media is, I rely on it in so many ways because it seems like it's a part of everybody's lives. And so it gives entrepreneurs, independent artists, it gives us this access to people and their eyes and hopefully their pocketbooks. And, we're all selling something. And that's great. We did not, it's free, pretty much, that's a huge plus and benefit. Downside is technology is changing so fast. It's really hard to keep up with, and it's not a fail safe, as I know very well. So just because you have a lot of followers does not equal a lot of anything else, pretty much. But yeah, in the 90s, I think we started our label in 1992 and maybe had emails. I was still writing, fan letters on paper to people, like responding to letters with letters.
Yeah. Now it's a DM.
And I think back, like, how did we book shows? How did people know about shows? It was all word of mouth. There were lots of like Christian bookstores back in the day where you put the posters up and you do in stores and you come and visit and you get people there. And it's wild to think that it was so organic.
Yes.
And analog back then.
Isn't that weird? Because it's almost like record sales have been, it's not how many records have you sold, how many followers do you have?
Right, because nobody's buying records.
Yeah. And so that is your fan base. What a crazy world we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've navigated it extremely well.
I can look back and say there were times that I didn't. Like, we moved. I'm from Southern California, as I mentioned. My now ex-husband and my two kids, they were 10 and 12 in 2006, and we pulled up our roots and moved north to Montana. My daughter and I rode horses here in San Juan Capistrano, and so it felt like a great time. We lived on the road. I mean, raised my kids on a bus practically. We were always traveling, and I just was at that point where I thought, you know what? I can fly to anywhere from anywhere. We can live wherever we want. Let's have horses at home. Let's try this whole new life. Sold our house and just moved up there. And right around that time, I'd say it was happening then in 2006, but between 2006 and I'd say 2009, the music industry dramatically shifted and really switched over to streaming. Initially, people were buying records still, but then they started buying just singles, and then whatever platforms, developed began just charging a minimal fee, and we went from making tons of money since 1992 selling records to making next to nothing.
Yeah. Oof.
And it dramatically changed the landscape of everything. My family life, my marriage, my bank account, my career, everything changed. So growing up, we were very just like middle class. Never wanted for anything, but we're definitely not wealthy by any stretch. When my ex-husband and I started our label, it only took couple of years, 2 or 3, maybe 4 years, for things to really skyrocket. And
in the music industry, that's a very short period.
Yeah. And we made records. We were able to pay for them. They sold. We had distribution. And then I signed with a different label that kind of became this like partnership with my label and another label. And that's when like the first round of awards came, not the Grammys, that came later, but it just like exploded and it was incredible. And then
did you find that hard to handle?
No, I loved it.
You like soak it up.
I mean, I had 2 little kids in that time frame too. I had I was 24 and 26 when I had my son and my daughter. So I am touring very regularly with 2 babies.
Yeah.
All the time. So I'm the mom. I would often have a nanny. My sister came with me. Sometimes I had a friend come out. So there was always some help, but I'm still the mom.
Yeah.
And the artist. And basically, I'm not running things because that's what my ex-husband was doing, but it was busy, crazy, but fun and electric and so great.
Yeah.
And then when we moved to Montana, like I said, things were starting to shift, but we sold pretty much everything. We moved there with a good nest egg, and we way over leveraged, buying up properties and things and stuff and horses, and we had like half a dozen horses and jet skis and no, not jet skis, sorry, what are they called? Snowmobiles,
yeah.
And yeah, just enjoyed the life in Montana. And then the stock market crashed, the music industry changed. My career kind of, it didn't peter out, but it changed for sure. Out of sight, out of mind is a thing. And middle of Montana is out of sight, I can tell you.
A little bit remote.
It's remote, even though there's an airport there. So I think that's where I really became acquainted with the idea of scarcity, because I hadn't really experienced that before. And that became sort of a awful hard shell that's
pressure.
Really tough to crack and shed. So yeah, that's not the reason that my marriage fell apart for sure, but it 100% contributed to that.
At the age of 19, getting married, you don't know a lot about the world. And
no.
So that period you just described had to affect your music, I would think. It
kind of just shut it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shut down all the creative energy.
Would you call that a little bit of a depression period?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I would go to my solace was going to the barn and just not even riding, just getting into a stall with a horse. Just like brushing and crying and just like literally wiping my tears with a mane of horse hair.
Yeah.
Really intense and super sad and frustrating and scary. And there are other things that I won't mention just because they're family, private things, but
what therapy?
It wasn't just, I'm so sad I don't have money. It was a lot more than that. But yeah, what beautiful therapy.
Yeah.
That
horses.
I miss them.
Amazing creatures.
Yeah.
Do you try to find that now a little bit for yourself, riding or?
I did last year. I leased a horse down in San Juan for a year, and then this year hasn't been the same. Just too much going on.
Still in your heart though. So that's
100%. Yeah. And my daughter will eventually have horses at home in Montana again. So
yeah,
I'll call one of those mine.
Well, of course. So you feel like you're in your prime right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Never
would I have imagined equating prime with 50s.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here we are.
I say I'm in my 50s, deep into my 50s right now. I love them,
Yes.
There's so much to gain in the value of the 50s. So I used to think my 30s were, but I was a little crazy in my 30s. So
see, I had that wild, wonderful, adventurous life for sure, with lots of travel and lots of success and work and whatever. But being single in your 40s and now 50s is not something I expected or planned. And I truly love it.
Embrace it.
Yeah, I love it.
Is there anywhere you'd love to perform that you haven't? What's your
Not really.
I feel like wherever you do perform, you're going to give it 1,000%. You're going to be in it.
Yeah, I have had the absolute pleasure of playing some of the world's most grand halls, and I just there's very little I feel I have. There's nothing I feel I have to prove. Very little I feel I have left to do, if that makes sense, other than just learn more about my craft and get better and write more and enjoy just the process of all of it. Yeah.
So your latest album, Jazz, is out there?
Yeah. So in 2019, I did a Kickstarter, and I decided, this is kind of how my ideas go. They're not ever really fully fleshed out, when in the beginning. But I decided I wanted to make a jazz record. I wanted to record it at Capitol in LA. And I wanted to record it live with a big band, like Ella did, like Frank did, like Judy did. I just wanted to do that. And so it was my first actual like full-length project that was not within the Christian music world. And people did not know what hit them, what to expect. I didn't give a whole lot of detail. I just said, I'm making a new record. It's going to be under the jazz umbrella. It's I want to do it in this iconic studio. Yeah. And I did. We funded it. And it was incredible. Yeah. Like a life-altering experience, truly. So that was in 2019. And then a couple years later, I did another one. And I did a duets project and just called some of my favorite people who I happen to know and made this duets record, also a jazz record. And then the third one was this album called A Seasonal Thing, which started out as 4 separate EPs, one for each season. And then I decided to just throw them all together and have it be one whole record. Yeah. So, yeah.
So then what took you got this... First of all, your voice is powerful. I don't know any other way to describe it other than power and beauty, and I love how it fits down so many lanes. And so then you said, "Hey, what haven't I done? Maybe I'll write a children's book." Did that just come out of left field? Did that
kind of?
Yeah.
When I first moved back to California from Montana, it was in the very end of 2015. That move was inspired by my mother's illness. And so one of my sisters moved from San Diego up to Orange County into the house we grew up in Anaheim, which my parents still owned, but they had rented out.
Wow.
So we gave the renters notice. My sister and her husband moved in and fixed the house up and everything, and she was pregnant when this was taking place. So it was just wild to be in the house I grew up in.
Yeah, a lot of emotions.
And then my parents move in. And so my parents live there and my sister and her husband and now this new baby that was born,
these
the following
3 generations.
Yeah. And my mom has Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So she only didn't live in the house for 2 years. So the majority of the journey was we all spent kind of together. I didn't live in the house, but I lived, in Orange, so I was there all day.
Of course.
So my sister worked and my brother-in-law worked, and so I became a nanny. I needed work. Newly single, 47, 48 years old, don't know what on earth I'm doing. Never had to pay rent. Never had to, get a electric account through edit. I don't know what I'm doing at this point, But I spent...
Scary moments.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time with my niece, who was a teeny tiny baby.
Yeah.
And I watched her regularly until she started kindergarten. So when she was about 4, I remember one of the days I went over there, I always tried to bring something fun to do. And so I brought paper and pens and markers and whatever. And I just said, let's make books. And her name is Simone Claire. Her middle name is Claire. And I am not an artist, a drawer. I can't draw anything that actually resembles.
Well, you can't do it all.
Anything.
Crystal,
yeah,
my gosh,
thank you.
It's
my one kryptonite. But but I can write words and make them pretty and use color and whatever. So I just stream of consciousness started just writing stuff. And I took it home and I'm like, this is kind of cute.
Oh, wow.
And so I just kept messing with it. And that was in 2018. So here we are, 2025, and it's been through multiple iterations of everything. I've had, I think, 3 or 4 different illustrators that I've tried to work with. Didn't end up panning out. I had an agent for a while, and we did a proposal, and I had meetings with publishers for a second, and they wanted me to change a whole bunch of stuff about the book. And I thought, oh, this is like being signed to a label.
You've been down
I've
that
already
road
done this.
before.
And so then I let it go, and then my mom passed, and then
It just sort of sat there dormant.
yeah. And then I came back around to my original illustrator, who's a friend of a friend, who we met having nothing to do with my book. It was a completely different reason for us meeting. And I just called her up randomly one day and said, remember like 4 years ago we talked about this thing? And she said, I'd love to
Wow.
do it.
Cool.
So that was almost a year ago. And I eventually launched a Kickstarter to fund it because I've done that before and it's worked.
It worked.
For me. It didn't work this time. It did not fund.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like we talked about earlier, like people have a hard time with, wait, we thought you were this thing. It's real hard for listeners, fans, whatever you want to call them, to kind of stick around.
Yeah.
If you're doing something that's outside of the box that they're comfortable keeping you in.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm not losing sleep over it. I've shed some tears for sure at first, like, no, this is so much disappointment. But there's a pivot in place, and I'm still gonna make it happen, and it's just maybe gonna take a little bit longer, but it's in process, which is great.
So give me a little bit about what would be the needs. Financial, for sure. So tell me,
Yes, so I'm gonna self-publish, and I'm doing it through a company called Book Baby, where they do printing, and they you can opt in to a program where they then facilitate distribution. So they'll put it in Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all of that, and whenever anyone orders it, it's just print on demand. So initially, though, I'm trying to raise enough money to print however many initial orders I get, because I want to hold it, I want to sign it, I want to send it.
Yeah.
To the people who initially like kind of jump in with support. So I'm selling a bunch of other stuff in conjunction with the book. I'm making an EP with 4 new songs that I wrote around the themes of the book, and a duet with my mom.
Oh, wow.
So, my mother, as I said, was an incredible musician, and she made a few recordings.
How
and
special is that? Wow.
she did a version of My Favorite Things from The Sound of Music.
Yeah.
And she played the piano amazing, but she also was an insane clarinetist. And so she's playing piano and clarinet and singing on this song. And so my producer and I have figured out a way to add myself in.
That's
So we can
amazing.
kind of isolate, some of the files.
Mom
And
would be so thrilled.
She would love it.
Yeah, she would.
So that's part of the project. I'm selling. Nobody buys music anymore, but I am offering the EP for sale, like pre-sale, so that you get it before it's out. And it's just another way for people to hopefully contribute to the project.
So tell me about Claire then. Claire Clementine.
Clementine.
Yeah, tell me about that. And I can't help, I know a little bit about it. I want to hear more from you, but I can't help but see some parallels between her and you. Yeah.
So as I said, my niece, her middle name, my youngest sister's daughter's name is Simone Claire, and my middle sister's daughter's name is Paige Clementine.
Cute.
So the character came from their middle names, Claire Clementine, and the story is just this little kid has a hard day and feels like she's lost her voice. Not physically, but has had some interactions at school that didn't feel great and were frustrating and scary, and she didn't handle them well. And so she comes home and it's kind of a play on, like, she's looking everywhere for her voice,
Oh.
And then a pink-haired fairy godmother, auntie type person appears and helps her to find what she's looking for, because she's had similar experiences. And so she kind of walks her through that.
I think we all have.
Yes.
Whether you're a young adult, a kid, or an adult, you can somehow relate to that stressful day that Claire had.
Absolutely.
And you've put it in somewhat of a magical way to say that there's hope. I love that.
There's a fun little twist at the end, and it's been a wonderful process writing it. When I was connected to the agent that I'm no longer with, he was instrumental in pushing me to deepen the meaning of the book, and I'm so grateful for him. He's remained a friend. And initially it was just a cute, rhymey, like I said, stream of consciousness, like fun craft project.
Yeah.
And it really became something else. Yeah. And I'm so glad.
Yeah. So tell us your social medias, your website, all that good stuff, if someone's listening and wants to help out or just to get to know you better.
Yes. Yeah. And I play around Orange County. I have shows not all the time, but
so excited. I've been looking at dates going, Can I go? Can I go?
Yes. Yeah. So I always have those listed. My website is just crystallewis.com, and my Instagram is the Crystal Lewis. Mm-hmm. As is my Facebook, which, they're connected. And so, but I'm just not overwhelmingly active on Facebook.
I think you're okay.
But Instagram's the thing, and the website.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And YouTube, they can see your videos. And
Yes. Yeah. I think that's the Crystal Lewis too, or it might be official Crystal. It's funny when you go on YouTube, the stuff that comes up. Because I haven't mentioned this, but I was on a television show in 1992 called Roundhouse on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And so it was a very fun, short-lived. There were only, I think, 3, maybe 4 seasons. I was only on the first season. But it was kind of like In Living Color. I don't know if people remember that show, but it was our creator of our show was the head writer on In Living Color. So it was edgy and pushed the boundaries of censorship. Oh, those poor Nickelodeon people, really. We gave them such a hard time. But it was like In Living Color meets the Mickey Mouse Club. So it was this mix of dance and singing and sketch comedy, and it was wild.
Yeah.
And
I have to look that up.
Really incredible. And the only place you can find it is on YouTube.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anywhere else. It's not on Nickelodeon because they didn't own it. Yeah. And so they don't promote it. So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I was going to have you indulge me in some of you singing.
Yeah.
And one of the songs I wrote down was a few of my favorite things. Which is interesting. And of course, we talked about earlier, Endless Summer, which
yes.
I cannot get that out of my head, which I'm very glad it's in my head. But
I am too.
What a cool song. So I'm going to let you toss up the hat.
I'm going to take some water.
Yeah, please do. I'd love it if you would indulge me.
So I can't do my favorite things because I don't know it yet.
Okay.
I mean, everybody knows that song, but I don't know it yet. I will learn it because I will obviously be recording it.
Yeah. So while you take a little bit of sip there, where's your next upcoming Orange County performance? My
next Orange County performance is June 13th.
Okay.
I think it's Friday. I think it's a Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
Personally, I was like, I think they gave me that date because nobody else wanted it. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
At Spaghettini in Seal Beach.
Okay.
Always a fun show. I'm usually there twice a year. Is it Christmas or December, wintertime, and one other time. So this is the only time I'll be at Spaghettini other than holiday season.
Yeah.
And then I'm with the Long Beach Municipal Big Band.
Oh, wow.
For a week, the last week of June, which I do every summer. They have a different singer every week, and it's at a different park every night outside in Long Beach. It's extra. You bring your picnic. Thousands of people. It's wild.
Well, I would think for you as an artist, that'd be a big band behind you, right? Backing you up.
So fun.
Oh my gosh.
It's so great.
Yeah. I'll have to look at that one. That would be cool.
That's really fun. But yeah, Spogatini, June 13th.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Crystal, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so funny. You don't have to include this, but I did like pretty much almost lose my voice last week during my show on Sunday night. So I haven't sung since last Sunday. So we'll see.
I don't want to strain or, you got things to do.
It'll be fine.
So.
Also, gosh, I hope I remember the words. Okay. So can I set the song?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
So I did this album of seasonal songs, and so each season I included 2 covers and 1 original. So this song, Endless Summer, is of course in the summer portion, and it's the 1 original. And I wrote it largely on a walk because
as you do most.
Yeah. And it was, of course, kind of inspired by my mom and the end of her life, and then thinking about, I wonder if she ever thought, I wonder how many summers I have left. And I literally overheard somebody say something about counting life in seasons. And so this idea that, I wonder how many summers I have left. Do I have 30 summers? And I just thought that was really intriguing to think about that, what a luxury time is.
When you break it down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
how many more times can I do this, or will I be able to do this? And
yeah. I better get on it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do it.
Right.
So, okay. I have no idea if I'm going to even start it in the proper key. We'll just see what happens.
Go for it.
Okay. I overheard a man say he'd be lucky to have 7 more summers left. To which I replied, well then, sir, you better get living. Think of the places that you haven't been, or the people that you haven't met yet. I don't think it's ever too early or late to begin to dream like you've got endless summers and live like you've only got one. Give all your love to each other while it's warm in the light of the sun.
That's so beautiful.
A little slower, but
Oh my gosh, you've just made me the happiest guy right
good.
now. Yeah. When I love it in there, you say live like you've only got one, That's
Yeah. What if we did that?
Yeah. Even in our day,
Yes.
Let's get up. Do they don't you've gone through so many paths in your life. You've kind of lived that sentence from actressing now. I just found out you had a show, something I didn't know, but from your different journeys through your walk with Christ even, and your mom, your dad. And very impressive. I really appreciate you spending the time with us this morning and sharing your story, and appreciate your openness and
My pleasure.
your energy, your honesty. So anytime you want to come back and sit there, please, please, please. I know, are you still doing your pretend podcast on live?
I'm going to push pause on it for a couple of months. I'm headed to Paris, actually.
Oh, right.
And London. I have 2 shows in Paris and 1 in London in May. And my daughter's in town visiting. My son is in town with the 3 grandkids this week. So I'm just pushing pause on a lot.
Well, you soak it up. Family is live like they're not going to be there tomorrow, right?
Exactly. Yes, taking advantage. Yes.
Well, we appreciate everyone tuning in. We hope you discover Crystal on your own by following some of her social medias and website. And thank you, Crystal.
My pleasure. Thank you.